Doe Lea was like a lot of other villages, mining villages anyway. We were poor, but we didn't know it. I mean, you didn't have a clue how poor you were. It was a great place to grow up. I mean, it was so much fun. You could walk from back door to back door to back door to back door, and generally all the back doors were open unless it was, winter and freezing. And it was open house in most houses, so news travelled, around the village in minutes. But I lived here at number 7, and what you've got to try and imagine is that this row of houses came to here to start with, and the walls were very different because they were done in the old brick. You'd sit on the wall, and what you'd do is you'd watch the miners come across this street. It was buzzing. It was a village that was vibrant, it was alive, and it was full of characters. The late 60s, there was already change taking place. The motorway came and effectively cut off the main road. So Doe Lea then became a dead end in essence. You could not go anywhere. The pits closed, which had a dramatic impact on it, there's no doubt about it. What we didn't realise at the time was that community was being killed. The coal board sold the village for about £1 to the local council, which everything you lived in, everything you sort of owned had been sold for, divide 350 by £1 or whatever it was, and, you sort of knew the value of it. Then they knocked the rest of it down. That was the death knell for Doe Lea as a village, in essence. When your house was due to be knocked down, you were pretty much told where you were going. Now, you could fight tooth and nail, but the stick they hit you with, if you don't take this, you're going to get something worse.
People were feeling that the village had no future. The young people of the village, if they were going to secure employment, needed to move away from the village. The young people were really isolated.
It was a bit like the ends of the earth. There's rubbish going past all the time on lorries. There's the smell of the tip. There's all the complaints that people had about rats and birds spreading rubbish.
The spectacular success in landfill, I think, has whetted people's appetite for feeling that they can make a change.
Because after all, it was a David and Goliath situation. And when people actually got the result, they were delighted, really delighted.
And if there's one thing you want out of the new development that would make your lives better, what would it be?
Boys!
The thing that Doe Lea does need is houses.
I think the application was welcomed because they felt it was about time something happened in the village. Everybody's first reaction to the first set of plans that we saw from the developer was one of horror.
It was dreadful. There was no consideration for anyone. There was nothing for the children. There was nothing for the older people.
We were the rump. We were the rump on the bottom end of something else.
It would have created all kinds of social divisions.
There was a lot of anger, not towards the development, just a lot of anger because there was no consultation took place up front whatsoever.
I was asked to facilitate a public meeting. There were about 120 angry people sat in rows with their arms folded, looking very stony, and the attitude was that development is going to happen across our dead bodies.
We said, well, what have we got at the moment that we really like, and how can we get more of that?
We translated that into a document which we could then start to talk to the planners. It was really a mediation role, I suppose.
When we put our initial adjustments to the plan forward, and they realised that we were talking a lot of sense, they held out. They said, no, we're not going to pass this thing until you meet with these local people.
The developers seemed to be afraid of coming. That was my impression. They didn't come for 6 months, which was a great shame. It slowed the process down.
We probably wanted it to happen more than they did. They had a commercial interest. We had a whole lot of other interests in this village growing again, much more important than their commercial interest. But we also realised they had to sell the properties to get these people in. So we'd taken all that into account. And when they met us, they said, we should have met you a long time ago.
The change when the developers came back with their second plan was really quite substantial. I think they had incorporated about 80% of what the local community wanted to see. The developers, I think, also were winners in this situation, and both the planners and the consultant that they engaged to look at the plans feel that the results that they've got now are far better than the original plans, that they will sell better and are actually likely to make more money out of it.
I was relieved to see the new plan. It's not a gated community anymore. The whole feel of it is much more human.
Suddenly there are green spaces. The roadways are more or less where the old house rows used to be. It's far more integrated this way with this new plan than ever the old one was.
We've now got a development, you know, that we want, and we've got a development now that looks like Doe Lea.
If we weaken planning now, it's going to make it even less likely that communities get any kind of say at all in what goes on near them. And I don't think, I mean, looking at this particular incident, it can't be said that consulting the community actually slowed the process down.
If you're going to deregulate it, if it's going to become open to market forces in essence, then the question you have to ask then is, what are you building? You know, because, you know, I don't care what if you're going to build houses for people to live in, then effectively what you should be building is a community. But if you have no community involvement, no community voice in that process, well, you know, I think you're into Orwellian times, if you like, you know, because effectively all you're doing is you're saying, hold on, here's a house, you fit in it.
I'd be very, very unhappy to see us move to a position where the sole criteria was a financial one. Because it seems to me that planning is the kind of bedrock, really, of local government. If you don't have proper planning, you simply cannot carry out the sorts of policies that you want to carry out to improve people's lives.
Harry, I'll catch you later. Yeah. All right, cheers, see you guys. If you're going to build something where the community's had real valuable input into it, that voice has got to be heard at the beginning. If you don't want to hear my voice, you don't trust me. You're not willing to listen to what I've got to say, so my opinion has no value because you don't involve me in the process.